So before I touch on Rockefeller, a more integrated system, and how that must mean including Satanism in people's daily activities, people in various organizations and law enforcement agencies, they're occultists, they're Satanists. They come together with people who see themselves as less occultists, who are really part of cultures that are led by social clubs and groups like the Masons, okay, the Shriners, and these different groups who have members in churches, including the Catholic Church, when the historical narrative is that the Catholics and the Masons didn't get along. But whether that has some truth to it or not, and there is some greater truth, certainly, now it's more integrated. Okay, as E. Michael Jones has said, the Catholic Church put up the white flag in the 60s. So some of their own clergy are saying, hey, you know, the Pope isn't entirely right. They put up the white flag and go on and on and on. Okay, so let's talk about a very basic level, how it's stupid not to see that I'm right, how it's insane. You're crazy if you don't know that they're working toward a more thoroughly integrated system. Well, after 9/11, okay, they said part of the problem was a lack of intelligence communications. A lot of fusion centers were funded, which is basically where law enforcement and the community come together and collaborate with their informants, agents in the field, and assets. Okay? These guys spread out. A lot more money was put into Homeland Security, the Defense Department, etc. A lot more resources, a lot more collaboration. Military bases began more psychological operations on the public, and the internet, which was already detailing people's habits, was starting to help identify, and people were being flagged based on their internet habits and the sites they visited and the things they said. And people who were talking in a way that was subversive, a way that just simply promoted cultures that were not already allowed, okay, were targeted. And there was this national security imperative that is bogus. You know, it's like the war on drugs when the government's bringing in the drugs on record. And Greg Webb, or this guy, I forgot his name, is something Webb, was the guy who exposed this thing in the San Jose Mercury News. Okay, and of course, since then, a lot of interviews have come out. He was right, and they overkilled the fact that he was right. Okay, so it's the same thing with the war on terror. They're the terrorists. They're the cultists. They're the Klan. They're the hate groups. They're the cops abusing people. They're the terrorists with legitimate power historically and not just in the South. Okay, open and shut. Boom. A more thoroughly integrated system of terrorists and occultists. Okay, hate groups that terrorize people. Cult groups, right? The OTO, the Golden Dawn, Masons. Okay, these guys have spread out, and they're big on the science. On record, Tesla was an occultist. You know, one of these popular car companies, Tesla. You have the Dodge Ram. Okay, these guys are occultists on record. Okay, and they embraced and they idolize occultists. Okay, mainstream history, straight up, no one can deny it. You know, if a cop was like, hey, are you okay, man? You just quickly, here's Webb Church. Okay, boom. Tesla was into the occult. So was Newton. Okay, Freud was into the occult. This is mainstream history. This is easy to look up and verify with valid sources. All right. So a more thoroughly integrated system, as Rockefeller said. He was one of the most respected, if not the most respected, member of the Council on Foreign Relations, a very powerful group, and obviously a government group, very powerful. Okay, and he has a global plan to integrate various cultures that are allowed to control sexual behavior. He's also a eugenicist, and they talk about positive eugenics, which is basically evil, you know, and it is the idea of promoting certain people so people breed with them. And they do that with erotic desire. They can't promote romance or love to get you to date scientists and corrupt businessmen. They have to promote erotic desire because these guys don't have any love in their heart. They are simply puppets of the government. They're corrupt. They're crony capitalists. They're kleptocrats. They're thieves, basically. They're neo-colonialist thieves that steal the women and steal the resources, and it comes out in the way they behave. This kind of arrogant, haughty, cocky, pompous, pretentious manner that they have is unavoidable. There's no way to mistake it. Okay, so now that we've detailed it in a way that you know that this must be going on, okay, let's look at it from this kind of criminal level. When I was younger, I used to hang out with thugs and so on and so forth. You know, born in the 80s, really was raised through the 80s and the 90s, and I saw a lot of stuff. Live in California, hung out with a lot of people in the Bay Area, a lot of famous rappers who are fuck with the streets tough, like E40, Spice One, Yuck Mouth. You know, all these guys, you know, these Bay Area guys, Too Short, you know, very famous, very popular rappers, street guys. You know, Oakland's like an hour away, you know, not that far away. Okay, I live basically in Santa Clara County. So I seen this stuff firsthand. Okay, basically, the gang members all over America, the thugs, would say the government brings the drugs, okay, and they're selling drugs. So they may as well say that they work for the government. Boom, right there. Informants basically making sure that the flow of drugs goes smoothly. You're an idiot if you think this is a conspiracy theory. It's like the history of the mafia, where they had so many police officers on the take. They just evolved their corruption. Police officers historically abuse prostitutes, sleep with prostitutes, rape women, and collaborate with drug dealers. Historically. You're insane if you don't see it that way. There's fraternal orders of the police. There's Masonic patches that include police patches, and I've gone over that many times. I mean, this is not conspiracy theory. They sell these patches on eBay for guys that that are part of these organizations. Okay, Boston Police. Okay, boom. You know, the guy who sells it sees himself as a patriot. Okay. There you go, the police, an occult organization, the Patriot Movement, red, white, and blue. The red stands for the principles of evil in Egypt, and there's a pyramid on the dollar bill. They're basically saying they're accepting the principles of evil. White includes the moon temple cultivation, where white people are seen as people who, you know, in the occult narrative at least, and it does seem to be true, are people that cultivated the moon, which was a female symbol. They went and they settled down, right? And they've cultivated this female activity, while the dark-skinned people are seen as cultivating the male activity. That's why black women are kind of like, hey, nigga, kind of, you know, argumentative. They have more of a masculine spirit, and white men have more of a calm, kind of suit and tie, hey guys, I'm a yuppie kind of way. Because this is historically what their quote-unquote races, which are really cultivated cycles, embraced. Okay? So when we look at the martial arts systems, the greatest warriors were in Africa, and of those warriors, the hero guys who were full of righteous indignation and thought clearly and were sharp-minded, like my father, a brain surgeon, outmaneuvered these guys, these brutes, and they stabbed them. And a lot of cartoons and stuff are based on this kind of reference of Horus and so on. And then you talk about the age of Horus and Scientology and Aleister Crowley, and it's all connected in this popular culture and so on and so forth. So these psychological operation units, they're concerned with the print, what you think, what's being said in the resulting cultures. They're concerned with distribution, right? The media, including social media, and communication, and maintaining the New World Order. Early identification, prevention, and intervention. There's no way it could be. If you say, oh, what does it have to do with Egypt? Psychological operations. They have their own psyop patches, and some of them have Egyptian symbolism. Some of them have rather dark symbolism. Martial arts, Mara, martial to order. Mara, meaning horse. Scale seat, meaning servant. We can go on and on and on about, you know, how these guys see themselves as Templars, how it connects to the church and the occult. But this is just mainstream history. They're concerned with persuasion. They're concerned with exploitation, including sexual exploitation. And here's the PSYOP unit on the bottom. You know, if you don't believe me, you can do your own research. Okay, this one happens to be the 3rd Airborne PSYOP unit. Power to influence. Okay, minds, deeds, and words. Who's saying what? That's part of why they flag the internet. You're insane if you don't see it this way. Psychiatrists themselves reviewing. One of them wrote a book reviewing the 15,000 MK Ultra documents. Okay, yeah, this guy is a psychiatrist. He's still a psychiatrist, from what I gather. He was a few years ago. He still sees patients. Okay, he wrote a book called The CIA Doctors. You are fucking insane if you think this quote-unquote professional, really, you know, a lot of people see him as professional. The mainstream culture says put on a tinfoil hat, gave this guy a degree, and you know, he's an MD, he's a doctor, okay, to see patients, and he still sees them. And you think he's some kind of quack when he went over 15,000 documents? In a similar way, he went over his studies to become a psychiatrist. What, are you a fucking idiot? Why would he lie? Why on earth would he lie? And in the book, on record, it says that the Scottish Rite of Masonry funded MK Ultra. Okay? And it talks about all the different military groups that were part of it. And it says the Scottish Rite, on record, funded MK Ultra. There's no way around it. Why are the prison gangs have satanic tattoos? Why is there a rise of the occult? Why do they have those black chokers, satanic chokers? Well, I'm running out of time. I got to put pictures at the end to prove my point. Why is I'm going to connect in the pictures the Klan to the occult, to the church's representations of angels, to the Statue of Liberty. Okay, these are occult ideas. Every culture that is allowed is directed by the occult, and it's when people are prison gang leaders, it's a basic part of being a prison gang leader, a factor in the criminal underworld, right? Hades, the underworld, okay, is to know these things, okay? Who's off limits? Who's doing what to who? This is why gang members focus most of their crime in the ghetto when most of their money is in the nicer neighborhoods, because it's part of the game. This is a basic part of life. You are insane if you think it's not. You are insane if you think that my PSYOP patches don't prove, or excuse me, the PSYOP patches I purchased don't prove anything. Obviously, I'm not in a psychological operations unit. Obviously, you're a fucking idiot if that's what you think. Okay, fuck am I going to be one of those things for? Okay, obviously, I worship the one true God. I've spelled it out for you in a way that makes you want to do the right thing. And they don't need me to help identify anybody. Okay, they have advanced supercomputers and machines and all kinds of things. They don't need that. Okay, so see key reasons why I'm the top martial arts playlist. See my top martial arts challenge. Realize why it's a basic part of establishing yourself as a true leader from a religious perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a perspective of mental clarity and moral clarity. Name one valid leader in history that's recorded. Okay, the closest thing to it is Narmer or Shaka Zulu. The true leaders were martial artists. The true leaders were African martial artists. Everyone else was just dabbling in some kind of Western hypocrisy. Okay? And we go on, for every race. These guys are the true leaders. And then you have some kind of Native American guys. We go on and on about the differences here. Geronimo didn't lead this massive 100,000 plus Zulu force, right? There's differences here with the heroes that you're presented in America. Okay, obviously, I'm not racist, I'm mixed, half white, half black. I give you the facts. When you look at this thing as somebody who started off as a Christian, very concerned, I was talking about Biafra and Jean de St. George's book, The Nigerian Civil War, since I was like a teenager. Okay, I was a martial artist. I was getting this dose of the worst spirit, the true spirit of God, a warrior spirit, a spirit of love, a spirit of righteousness. I've been a warrior talking about the Biafran War for a long fucking time. I actually believe these things. I know these things to be true. Now, my arm obviously is affected by the drugs and so on and so forth, but I'm going to show you this. I have a tattoo of Biafra, which is a Christian nation that fought, on my arm. Okay? Doesn't take a genius to see that I'm the good guy, that I'm right, that they are satanic bitch, okay? The reason why I took down my Pan-African flag when I realized that it could not possibly be used for good to unite black people because Pan is a deity, pagan deity, meaning all the Greco-Roman deities. The red, black, and green symbolizes evil. The Biafran flag symbolizes a bunch of adverse groups, and then there's the sun, right? The son of God, Biafra, Bi of Ra. I can go on and on and on. Okay, there's the people who see it my way, who truly worship God. I was in the 60s. Now all those people are gone. It's just me. I'm on my way out. Okay? This is what's going on. I'm going to put the pictures at the end.